So welcome everyone, happy days are here again. We're here today for another Nintendo Switch review, and this time it's the Super Nintendo Entertainment System controller, exclusively for those subscribers of Nintendo Online. I'm sure we're already aware of some of the benefits of the Nintendo Switch Online subscription. We've got the cloud save backup, that's always important. We've also got the retro games they seem to be releasing on a regular basis for both the NES and the Super Nintendo. Now, one of the big things they've done here to try and capitalise on this is to release these retro controllers for the NES and for the Super NES. So originally they released the retro controller for the NES, and that was sold in a 2-pack. I think it was about $49.99 plus I think about £8 delivery, which I thought was far too much. But then they chose to release the Super Nintendo controllers individually this time, which I think is a bit more reasonable. I think it was $26.99 and about £4 delivery, so it's feeling a lot more reasonable here. Now, one of the big problems, however, for the UK that is their dispatch from Germany. Now, the problem with that is the obscene wait times. I can honestly say, for the NES controllers that I had, the wait time was unbelievable. It was almost 2 months. The Nintendo support line was absolutely useless. It was a stress. Why I trusted them a second time is beyond me, but I did, and I ordered some of the Super Nintendo retro controllers. Flip side, much better delivery. That was before the lockdown, but it was only about 2 or 3 weeks at most. Much better. I'm consciously aware that these Super Nintendo controllers and those original NES controllers are quite difficult to get hold of at the moment. Now, I know they've been sold on limited numbers on the Nintendo Online website, which I'll link in the description below. However, I am aware that dirty scalpers have been buying these from the second they come in stock, bang them on eBay for a big markup to try and fleece the good people like yourselves. I didn't. I bought 2. I have no intention of selling them. I bought them for my own personal enjoyment, and I would highly recommend that you consider that if you're a retro gamer fan. But of course, you need a bit of convincing. I understand that. So let's do what we always do. Let's unbox and let's see it in action. So step 1, let's take a look at the box in more detail. So on the front, we're greeted with the beautiful Nintendo branding with that lovely red. Clear see-through package to see the goods inside, the things that you've come for. On the bottom, absolutely nothing. On the top, you've got that logo, but you've also got the Euro branding. Now, that's obviously because the Super Nintendo came in different colours depending on what region it was in. We, in Europe, had the green, blue, yellow and red, whereas I know other regions had different variations of purple. So, depending where you order it from, depends on what you get. On the end, absolutely nothing. On the other end, nothing. And flip one, reversing it, we got those details. So, Nintendo original seal of quality. No cheap forgeries here. What do we get? We get the controller and a USB cable. That's always good. Designed for use with the Super NES Nintendo Switch Online. Now, I'm aware already that you can use these controllers for lots of different games. I think it's down to personal preference on which controller you feel most comfortable with. Rest of the bump you can read for yourself. So, box looked at, let's unbox. So I thought I'd do this one a little differently and not do a cheeky cut to the stuff already outside the box. So let's look at a live unboxing. Let's try and angle round the camera. Whoa. So we've got those little tabs. Look at that one, much easier. Up. Let's try not to damage and rip it. Ooh. We've got that black packaging with a nice little finger hole to get it out. Oh, interesting. So the plastic isn't actually secured to the box. And you got the other stuff. USB cable. Ooh, and those instructions. We know how much I love instructions. I guess we better give it a token look. Let's have a look at those instructions here. Look at all that health and safety. Now, it does remind me that the Super Nintendo controller has an inbuilt battery, so no need to put batteries in. It's got a lithium-ion battery inside it. And how to use, charge it first, plug it in. Ooh, that's enough reading for today. Whew. Next, let's have a look at the cable. I've always been generally pleased with the Nintendo cables. So we've got a USB-A on one end, and on the other side we've got a USB-C. Very, very nice cable, if I don't say so myself. Fairly long, I think it's about 1.5 meters if it's like the standard of the controller cables. Now what's interesting about the Nintendo USB cables for this sort of device is they're not just a standard USB-A to USB-C cable that you get on something like Amazon. Now, if you've done your research online and you know about this already, the Switch has a weird charging rate, okay? So it's not normal, you know, so that's why you can't use third-party docks and third-party chargers and all that on it. It just doesn't like it because it's got a weird charging pattern. Now, one thing I found online is these USB cables actually have, I think it's an 18 ohm, don't quote me on that, resistor in, which actually reduces the power draw to make sure nothing gets damaged. So if you're going to be using official Nintendo Switch stuff, you're going to need to use the proper cables. Don't risk it, you know, you'll only have yourself to blame. Onto the controller itself. First thing that hits me, you know, and it sounds obvious, but the colours, they're exactly the same as I remember as a kid. You know, I remember me, my Super Nintendo, my Super Star Wars, blasting away at all those things that weren't in on the movie. You know, just such good nostalgic memories. Let's take a closer look. Ooh. There we go, out it goes. Nothing else there. Ooh, residual charge. So, out it goes. So, picking the controller up. Ooh, yeah. Talk about nostalgic. So, I don't think you can see it particularly well through the camera, but it is a textured plastic, so much like the old Super Nintendo. It is nostalgic like you wouldn't believe. The buttons feel exactly like they did on the old Super Nintendo controller. Rubberized plus and start, that trusty D-pad. And I've read online, people love that D-pad and will argue that's the best D-pad that's ever been made. You know, it feels the same. Looking at the top, R, L, ooh, talk about accessibility. So we all know the Nintendo Switch has the 4 buttons on the top. They've replicated this and given it the 4 buttons here, so you can use this for any sort of game you like. Very nice. On the back, basic details. On the bottom, we've obviously got the 4 lights to show whether it's player 1, player 2, player 3, player 4. I guess that's a sync one. That's, of course it is, because it's a Bluetooth controller as well, so you can use this to connect to other devices like Android, iOS. That'll be the Bluetooth sync button. On the top, we've got that glorious USB-C charge port. Initial impressions, you know, it feels as good as I remember. Super comfortable, same materials. That blast of nostalgia is hitting me clear in the face. I can't wait to get it charged and get it plugged in. So I'm going to do a cut now, charge it for a bit, sync it up, and let's see it in action. Now, before I show a bit of gameplay footage here, I thought I would take this opportunity to do a comparison. So you're not seeing double, well you are seeing double, but these are 2 different controllers here. So on the left here, we've got ourselves the Nintendo Switch one, but on the right here, we've got the controller that's bundled with the NES Classic. So you can see the weird preferential that's on the end. So you can see similar size, similar shape, similar feel. This one, I'd argue, this one's a little bit lighter, which I find surprising because of the lithium-ion battery, whereas this one honestly doesn't have a battery in it. So let's take a close look at the pair of them for the comparisons. So same width, no Switch stuff on the bottom of the classic one for the classic NES. Back, different stuff on the back, obviously different model numbers. And on the top, the traditional 2 buttons for the one that comes with the Super Nintendo Mini, and the 4 ones for the Switch. Both feel very similar. I mean, I'm in no doubts it's the same casing, but I just thought it'd be nice as a bit of a comparison to see the 2. So let's get this one synced up and let's get some video footage of it in action. So here we are, Nintendo Switch is on and ready to go. Now, a few cool things I wanted to point out to start with. You know, they're very little Easter eggs. Now, if you look in the bottom left-hand corner, we've got the standard Switch Pro Controller symbol. However, the second we connect the old Super Nintendo one, see that image change. Bam. Got ourselves that classic one there. Now, I thought the best way to show this, controller in action, it was with a bit of Super Nintendo. Now, let's go straight into it. Another little Easter egg that's quite difficult to show on camera, but is oh so sweet. Now, depending on which controller you use to move around the menu on the Super Nintendo online games, so you can have the standard sort of Switch controller, but if you've got one of these bad boys selected, the menu noises and sounds change to be that bit more nostalgic. It's those classic sounds that you remember, so listen real close. Ooh yeah, getting that nostalgia back. Nice. So let's start up a bit of Mario Kart and show how good this controller is. So here we go. I am of course a Super Mario Kart professional, so if there's anything that doesn't go to plan, I'm blaming the controller. Only joking, this controller is excellent. So let's give it a go. One player. GP, why not? 50cc. Let's get into it. Of course, there is only one choice, and that is the man himself. One of my nice favourite features here is the ability to rewind. I'm sure not going to need that. Yep, completely forgot what the go button was. Never mind. Woo! A little bit different to Mario Kart on the Switch. Oh, the Bowser. Must remember controls. Get out of my way. Oh, turbo, go! As you can tell, I'm definitely a retro gamer at heart. And I know what you're saying, 50cc's, a real man don't play on 50cc's, but this is obviously just for review purposes. Here we got in front, here he is, Donkey Kong, glitching as always, crab walking. Gears of War reference there. Ooh. Boom! How'd you like them apples? Final lap. Can I stay in control? Woo! Ooh. Of course, there was no other option but to be first. Might be nice to show the rewind function in case you're interested. So, suspend mode, if you press the top two buttons, we get the menu up. So of course, you can load a suspension point, or you can create one, or reset, or game selection. It's up to you. Let's continue for a second. Now if you press and hold, you get an opportunity to rewind. Oh, not that one. Let's try again. There we go. So say it all goes Pete Tong, you're not happy with what's happened, you can rewind. You know, let's use this opportunity to just relive that moment of me coming first. Oh, it's even sweeter second time round. So let's go back to the main menu, game selection. So I guess you've seen it in action. It does work a treat. Please don't blame the controller for my poor Mario Kart skills. I think it's just getting used to the controls again after all this time. So with that in mind, I think we need to summarise it. We need to sum it up. What are my final thoughts? So what are my thoughts on this classic controller? Well, first thing, boom, you felt it here. It's that blast of nostalgia. It feels the same. It operates the same. It's comfy just like it was. This is nothing but a big old blast of nostalgia. Now, if you had a Super Nintendo as a kid, or you've got a Super Nintendo now, and you like the way the controller feels, then I would highly recommend this one for you. The cost in pound sterling of $26.99, it's a little on the steep side, but it's not bad considering it is a Bluetooth controller and could be used with other devices. I don't like that they're so difficult to get hold of. You can't just go out and buy them. You ain't going to find them in the store. Yeah, you're not going to find them in the store. But where you are going to find them is if you've got a Nintendo Switch Online account. you know, that subscription that you've been paying for to, you know, play online and have the multiplayer and all that goodness, that enables you to buy some of these. Now, yeah, to do this, you have to go online, go onto the Nintendo Online website. Again, links in the description. You have to log into your Nintendo account, and then you should have the option to buy. That's if they're in stock. Now, I've been looking over the past few weeks. They're in stock, they're out of stock, they're in stock, they're out of stock. It's all down to luck. So I'll keep an eye out for that. I think the mileage for this, it very much depends on, one, your nostalgia factor, two, if you're going to play those retro NES and Super NES games on the Switch, or if you've already got the Super Nintendo Mini. Now, if you've got the Super Nintendo Mini, you're going to get a similar sort of experience here. However, I know and you know the games are different. There's more games on the Switch than there is on that mini console. There are some different ones, of course. So, I don't know. I think I might do a review of the Super Nintendo Mini at some point to give a bit more of a balanced view. Is this controller worth it? Well, I think it is. I enjoy it. For me, it's definitely worth it. $26.99 is not too bad. I do like that you can buy them as a single controller instead of two. Forcing us to buy two for the classic NES controllers was a bit cheeky. But, I don't know, it's horses for courses and all that. So with that in mind, I'll leave you to make up your mind. I recommend it, but then I'm a massive nostalgia nut. So take care, look after yourself. Thumbs up if you like the video, comment if you've got any comments, and of course, subscribe. Do subscribe, it would mean the world to me. So take care, look after yourself.